Hello everyone, in today's video we will discuss how to log data in the PLC load memory and how to access the data using the web server. So here we have a new project and we will add a new device. I'm gonna add an S7-1500 just because we're gonna be using PLC SAM Advanced and only supports few models. So we will be choosing an S7-1500. I will go with, let's choose one. Okay. First, we will need to activate the web server and just enable some features that will allow us to access our log data using the web server. Okay, here is our PLC and no protection. Allow all, full access, next, finish. Here we go. We will first double click our PLC and we can go to our web server. Activate. Okay, permit access using any HTTP connection. Automatic update, let's make it every second. And then let's get full access. It's important that you either create a new admin or you just give it at least access to read and write and access tags at least, but I'm gonna give it full access level, which is administrative level. Okay, now it's administrative. And let's go ahead and just add a subnet to our Ethernet port, and I will just use 8 because I have already an instance here in PLC SAM Advanced 4 version 4, and that's our IP address, and the PLC name is PLC_8. Here we go. Okay, let's also right click our project properties and support simulation during log compilation. That's important. It will give you an error if you don't check this one. Sometimes it's checked automatically and sometimes you have to check it manually, so just make sure it's checked here. Okay, and now let's go ahead and create our data block. Let's just go to program blocks, main organization block. Let's go ahead and go to our extended instructions. We will find recipe and data logging, as data logging is usually related to recipe as well. We have the recipe functions here, recipe export and import, data logging. All these functions are regarding data logging. So we have data logging create, and then we can open the data log file that we created. We can write to it, or like initiate a writing cycle basically. We can clear it, we can close it, we can delete it, and we can create a new data log file. So let's just create data log create. Okay. And if you don't know all these parameters, you can just select the instruction and click F1. You will open up the help page, which is like a guideline to all these instructions. Okay, to all these parameters. Here we go, that's our information system. It's opening up. That's our data log create. So these are the parameters, and that's the explanation of it. I would really recommend that you go ahead and read it carefully to understand what's going on here. There are more details about every single parameter, and there are some differences for S7-1200 and S7-1500. Here we're using the S7-1500, and there is also an example at the end of the help page. So if you don't know the data types that can be accepted for each of these parameters, you can use the help page, and it will tell you, for example, here the request is just a bool. The records are unsigned integer, and there is another way that I personally use. I will just go ahead and add a new block here. a database block. Okay, and okay, let's call it data log. All right, so now we need to fill our parameter 0 just to connect it simply. And what I'm gonna do, the easiest way is to actually use the database that's created in the system blocks here. I always do that since it's much faster. And you can just go ahead and select the one that you need to copy. Here we go. Ctrl C, and you can go back and just write Ctrl V. So we have all our required text here. Another way, if you don't know that, you can just go ahead to the help page and just add it manually. For example, request, it's a bool type, and then you go to the next one, it's a bool type, etc. But that's much faster, as you can tell. So now the variant here is a string, and the header is also a string. Can be a string, can be name. I think so. Let's check here. The header is a variant, header of the data log. The header is hidden after the instructions added. Yeah, it is added actually. The header is written at the first line in the CSV because like the CSV file basically it creates or it logs the data in an Excel sheet. So you know the header of each column. Like for example, this is a table here, and these are the headers basically. Okay. We will go back, and then we have the data. This one we can call struct, and inside the struct, let's say we have value 1, or I would rather say column 1 to make it clear. We can leave this one boolean, column 2. We can say this one integer, column 3. We can say this one to be real. Can add text, etc. So here, assuming that we're making a table, for example, it's the first column. We have a bool, which is column 1, and then we have column 2, and then we have column 3. And these will be logged in the Excel sheet in each separate column every time we write our data in our data log file, basically. Okay, so let's link it to our instruction we just added in the main organization block here. We can go ahead and open our main organization block here, and let's drag and drop request. Here's request, make it this way, and records. Here's a record. Format, you can leave format as is, since format is there are many format is either 0 or 1. 0 is not actually supported, and as far as I remember, yeah, 0 is not supported. 1 is CSV, comma separated values, or Excel sheet. Okay, we have the timestamp. The timestamp, I will leave it as 1. If you want to change the time pattern, you will have to change it. For example, here I think timestamp here it is. That's for S7. Okay, so these are the values for the timestamp, but each value has a different format of the date and time. So I'm gonna leave it 1, which is this one, so it should log our data with these time formats here. And name, I will just leave the name as name, and the header as header. I believe you can make a comma. Let me see, here is the sheet, because we need each column to have its own header. So we have my header string, yeah, value 1, value 2, value 3, right, like that. So we can say header 1, comma header 2, comma header 3 for our 3 columns. Okay, and then the data struct, we have these values. Let's say this one is true, and this one is 10, and this one is 15.2524. And the ID, let's give it 1. Status, will leave it as is, we don't care about these ones. Name, records, let's say 10, or let's still keep it 100. Format, we said format should be 1, or initialize it to be 1. Timestamp, we will also leave it as 1. So let's connect timestamp here, even though we don't have to, but just to make sure everything is connected. And our ID here, drag and drop here. Here's our name. And our data structure. We can connect our flags or we can leave it empty. Okay, at least let's use the dump bit. Okay, so now that we have connected everything and we have initialized our stuff here from record timestamp name, the ID header to, actually I will like to change the ID to, let's say 10, just to make sure we don't have another instance. We just created a new project, so it should be good. Okay, let's go ahead, and now that we're done with this instruction, I left this one always on, so we need to have these two signals, the enable and the request, to be on so that we can create our data log. So once I modify this 1 to 1, with the transition from low to high, we should create a new data log. Okay. And upon successfully creating the data log, the done flag should be set for 1 cycle only, and then it should be reset. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna basically save this done bit in another variable. So we're gonna say, hold on here, the data log.done, and it should set another tag, let's say memory 0.0. Okay, now let's insert another network, and now let's use write instruction. Here is the data log write from our extended instructions. Data log write. Okay, so I'm gonna use the same request. I'm gonna add another manual flag that I can just use for enabling the write cycle. Let's say m0.1, and for the ID we will use the same data log ID. Done busy error status, we don't need anything here. So basically once we activate this one, I'll leave it. No, actually we shouldn't activate this one all the time. We should activate this one only after the successful creation of the data log. So after the done flag is set, we should create data log. So I'm gonna use this flag here, which is m0.0, to enable the data log write, and it should be only set, the m0.0 should be only set after the flag is successfully set, the done flag, the done create flag here. Okay, this one. So that's it. It should work, and we are going to test it now. And these are other instructions that we can use to manipulate our data logging and our data tables. So let's go ahead, compile. Okay, network 1. Oh, we need to compile our data log first. Here's our data log database. Compile. We will go back to our main. Of course, right now we're not actually doing any tasks on our data. For example, we can change one of the data types only. Let's say we will have an increment instruction, and it's gonna be basically when this flag is set, we can just start incrementing it, which is m0.0 as well. Let's say when this is set, we are going to increment our data log dot data dot column 2, which is integer, and this is integer. So basically, when this is set, each cycle should increment this value, and we can be using a timer or a frequency here to write down our data in our data log. That's the bare bones of the program. That's the simplest way. And let's compile, download. We'll pin our PLC Sim Advanced here. Start search. Load. Trusted. Continue without synchronization. Sure. Reinitialize. Here we go. So now we will go online. We have our online connection here. It's green, and everything is good now. All right. We will also monitor our instruction. So as you can see, actually there is an issue in TIA Portal version 17, and it existed actually in some previous versions as well. However, I am using Windows 11 with TIA Portal version 17, which aren't really fully integrated together. They're not really compatible. So once we enable this one, modify to 1, the done bit or the done flag should be set for 1 cycle. We will not be able to see it here, but we have already stored it in this tag, so it's actually set successfully. That's amazing. And it's counting now. We don't need this to be set anymore. We only use this one to create a data log basically. And now once we go to our web server, I will go back 192.8, enter. We have full access. That's why we have all these tabs here and all these features without using a username or password. Let's go see our data logs. Yep, we don't see any entries. Refresh, nothing. User files, nothing. File browser, there's nothing as well. And go back to TIA Portal. You see here the status is 7,000, and that's a status actually that says that there's no processes at the moment. It shouldn't be like that. Where is the status? Status 7,000, no job processing active. Modify to 0, modify to 1, and the status remains 7,000. Why is this 1 0? This should be 1 or 10 even. Or we haven't modified this one, so it should be 10. Stop. Stop. Stop, 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 stop. Okay, now that we're done, stop, start. Okay, now that we're done with this instruction and everything should be good here, let's make sure that we have everything right in data logging. We're using data log.id, and in our data log, the ID is 10, so it should be the same data log. Okay, let's go ahead and let's go online, connect to our simulator again. Now that we are connected to our PLC SIM Advanced here, this one is running in stop and this one is running as well. We will go to the server 192.8, enter. Let's flash our LEDs. It's flashing here and it's flashing here as well. So we're successfully connected to our PLC now. And here we see that the done flag has been set successfully, and it has successfully set this flag as well. And then we're incrementing our data. The data log ID is the same in both conditions. However, the status remains 7,000, doesn't change. So for some reason, there is an error in this version of TIA Portal. It could be in TIA Portal version 17 or in PLC SIM Advanced, or its integration with, or its compatibility with Windows 11. We can see here actually it stopped communications suddenly without any reason. Also, this issue actually existed in previous versions as well. Sometimes the data log done bit is never set. Don't worry about that. It's just in the simulation. It's like a bug in the software, maybe. So you can just disregard it and continue your program as is, since it should work fine with real PLCs. Okay. Let's go back to our server here, start page. Data logs, there's nothing, no entries currently available. And user file, yep. So actually, if you see here with the help page, you should find that once the data log create is successful and the dump flag is set, it should actually create a database, a data log here. Sorry, it should actually create a data log, and you should see it in the web server. However, we don't have it, so there are many issues going on with this version. And with the first time with the first time the data log write instruction runs, we should have an instance in the data log. I looked online, I looked in the forums, I looked everywhere for a solution, and unfortunately no one is actually able to provide a solution for this bug in the simulation process. So don't bother, it's just a technical issue basically in the simulation process, so just disregard that and go ahead and test it with a real PLC. It should work fine. So that's it guys for this video. I just want to discuss the data logging process in Siemens and TIA Portal. I hope you've enjoyed, and I hope the video was useful. Thank you.